Hey YouTube world, I am back with another video. Today's going to be another controversial topic. I seem to really like to ruffle a lot of feathers, don't I? But as you saw in the thumbnail, I want to pose the question to you, can we as consumers trust Tanner Leatherstein? He literally has taken the internet by storm in the world of luxury leather goods, right? So I want to have a conversation about all of the information and the education that he has been providing all of us, and how do we as consumers process that information, right? And if you are new here, this is all just my opinion. We're just having a discussion, and I'll probably break it down into a few different sections. I want to talk about the pros, the cons, and of course, true to my channel, I will do a brand review and a website review based on my research on his website, like any other indie brand that I've done in the past. And if you haven't seen those videos, definitely go check that out. I have an entire playlist and just really let you know what my thoughts are. So let's just get right into it, and do stick around till the end. I do have a surprise that you're gonna wanna see. Let's start out with the pros. Tanner Leatherstein has really built a name for himself with all the videos that he's done. Apparently, based on what he has told us, he is very well educated in the world of leather and maybe hardware as well. I'm not quite sure about that, but he poses himself as the leather expert. You know, I did do research on his website. He talks about how he, at the very young age, slapped together a bunch of leather pieces and started creating different pieces and goods for himself, and found that to be incredibly interesting. And what he's really good at is really translating his industry lingo and jargon, like any industry out there, right? If you're in a financial industry, if you're in the medical industry, there's a whole entire language, even though they're speaking English, that you may not understand. And he does a really good job at explaining what all of that means. And that's really educational for the mass consumer. In terms of his styles, when it comes to, you know, filming his videos, his reels, his TikToks, and of course, YouTube, he is really innovative by having that wow factor by ripping up bags, right? He is a very innovative when it comes to content creating, and kudos to that, because obviously he's got millions of followers. He is definitely what we consider in most industry a disruptor in that particular space by cutting up, really dissecting, showing you the different leathers and whatnot. I don't need to tell you, you don't live under a rock, so you know exactly what he does, but just know that he is quote unquote a disruptor in the big luxury world, or just the leather goods in general. What I really like also is that he does promote, or quote unquote poo-poo, the vegan leathers, right? He is not a big fan of leathers. And if you know me and my channel and been with me for a while, I'm not a fan of vegan leathers as well. It's definitely a topic that I do explore every now and then, just to keep up with what innovations that's happening right now. But he does a really good job showing you demonstrating what the difference between a vegan leather, what to look out for, and what are the quote unquote the non-qualities, if you want to say, basically, you know, why you shouldn't buy vegan leather in the first place. You may think that his opinions are biased because he is a leather craft expert, so to speak, but I kind of agree with him. So going on over to the cons, this is probably where I have a lot more to say when it comes to taking all of his analysis with a grain of salt. And I did go down the rabbit hole of Reddit. There's a lot of people that I think agree with me when it comes to his analysis and the cost analysis, because he really just focuses on the cost of the leather and the labor of the actual bag. That's like going into a restaurant and saying, oh, well, this chicken dish only costs $2 for the ingredients, and maybe it costs $5 for the chef to put it together. What he doesn't take into account is the cookware, the decor, the staff, the rent, the marketing, the licensing, the permits, and the rent of putting back, you know, a chicken dish together, right? And it's the same thing with what he's saying when it comes to the leather cost of a luxury bag like Louis Vuitton, or, you know, a Saint Laurent. He doesn't take into that all of the other overhead that goes into building a bag, and the reputation and all of the other marketing materials or marketing costs that goes into the cost of the bag. And how I would really treat him, and again, for us as consumers, it's not just about purchasing a good quality leather bag. Me as a handbag lover, a luxury consumer, or anything leather in general, even I think he also did a reel about a leather couch. It really also comes down to the design, the functionality, right? That's not something that he's gonna cover for you. And for me as a consumer, when I purchase something, all of that, yes, the leather quality is important. However, the design and the functionality also plays a very major factor, right? So just think about this. When I purchase a bag, those are the three main points I usually, and of course style, but not every bag needs to have functionality. There's a purpose and time for it. But as a handbag lover, I would say that if the design is phenomenal, it is so innovative. However, the leather quality might not be as, good, so to speak. And then a functionality is fantastic. I would be willing to dish out the money to purchase that bag, even though the leather may not be the highest quality, right? I also would argue the way he presents himself in his perspective is probably more like an engineer, or perhaps like an ER doctor, or perhaps versus like a plastic surgeon, right? He is very analytical, very numbers driven on how to create a particular bag. And I would trust him when it comes to the leather quality, but he's an engineer. He doesn't really think about the functionality, the design, the art portion, or how do I say this? The allure and history of fashion. It's very utilitarian kind of mindset when he crafts a particular handbag, right? And which we'll get into how that is completely evident by the products he makes in a moment here. Another example that I would also use to compare, to put it in a little bit more perspective, is that I would look to him as a consult for maybe a contractor building a house, but I wouldn't look to him to help me with interior design or interior decoration, right? That's not something that he would be an expert on, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, he even says this himself, right? Like, he is a creator. He is not a consumer. He did say that in a recent video where he attended some fashion event. He was invited, and how honored he was to be surrounded with celebrities and the fashion designers and all of these famous people. And he did mention at the end that he was very overwhelmed with the fashion industry in general and how he doesn't understand it. So he even admits it himself where he doesn't know that world, right? As a leather crafter, that doesn't mean just because you're an expert in leather, you know about anything else when it comes to fashion. Not to say that I'm like the expert on fashion or anything, but as a person who has gone through like hundreds of bags, and if you haven't seen that video, go check that out. I have issues. I know I have issues, buying and letting go of bags. But what that has taught me is that I am quite understanding as a consumer, because I know I create content, but I'm always going to be a consumer first, just like yourself. And how do I, do my analytical work when it comes to, do I buy this bag? Do I not buy this bag? My experience of purchasing and selling bags and using them over the past 15 years, I feel like I could align with you as the consumer when making those purchasing decisions a little bit better. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you always check to see if Tanner Leatherstein actually did a review on XYZ bag and the leather quality before you make that purchase, that handbag, the next handbag that you purchase? How do you do your research? And is Tanner Leatherstein part of your research? Let me know in the comments section down below. I have Pagai pulled up here, so let's get into the nitty-gritty details on his website. I have a lot to say. If you are new to my channel, definitely hit that like and subscribe button for me if you haven't done so already. I create a lot of content when it comes to indie brands, doing reviews, giving you my honest opinion about all of these different indie brands, because I think they are something that we all have gravitated towards, the mid-range kind of bags, because we are a little bit tired of big luxury, and sometimes you just want to get your bang for your buck with a lot of these indie brands that is doing amazing work and for a fraction of the cost, which also aligns with Tanner Leatherstein's philosophy, right? Like, the markup sometimes on big luxury is just incredibly high, astronomically high. And it's just like, how do you justify that, right? And if you're returning, glad you're here, drop a comment, you know what to do. And I did say I have a surprise, so it's sitting in this box. We'll go over that momentarily. Taking a look at his website, he does talk a little bit about himself, how he got famous, and this is his brand. He didn't exactly say when he started his company or any history on it or how he started his company. There's not a whole lot of information on there. There's a lot of products I want to go over with you and kind of just sharing my thoughts. However, when it comes to warranty, he doesn't say anything about warranty, which is something I do point out with a lot of indie brands that I talk about. Sometimes there's no warranty, sometimes there's 6 months warranty, sometimes there's a 1-year warranty, or there's limited warranty, and what that process looks like if there's any faulty items. Doesn't really cover anything about that. He does have a 30-day return policy from the time they ship, not when you receive it. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Sometimes it's a week, we don't know. So it did say within the ship date of 30 days. He does go into a little bit of detail, talking a little bit about leather and the different kinds of leathers in his FAQs, how to care for your leather pieces. So I thought it was pretty interesting. I would imagine that he would have a full-blown library of the different leathers since he does a lot of education. You should have that on your website. Again, this is just my opinion. So going down the women's products, of course, I'm going to look at the women's bags first. A quick scroll really shows me that there are a lot of dupes, right? Looking at the viola is what he calls it. That's basically Louis Vuitton's Felicie Pochette. It's the same silhouette. Again, there's nothing wrong with just copying or duping them and creating your own leather pieces because, usually the Felicie is in monogram. I'm looking at the website here and the design's fine. However, the leather colors, just not my cup of tea. I think he could have chosen better colors that is more modern. But overall, aesthetic-wise, his style is more rustic. Not that I'm knocking on rustic kind of styled. It's just not what I would gravitate towards. I feel like it's very 1995, so to speak. There's a lot of great indie brands that have very modern designs and great leather. I feel like he could bring it into 2024. I'm looking at this website here, like this lime green, just again, that's not my cup of tea. The colors are just not, it's meh. I'm also looking at the details. He doesn't talk about anything with what kind of leather was this. For a guy who's like the leather expert, why don't you tell me what kind of leather this bag is made from or this crossbody is made from? I do like how he has the dimensions, and this one actually doesn't have the weight on it, but it's very inconsistent across the board when it comes to his website. I do like the built-in magnets. I love built-in magnets, so that's plus plus. It does also come with the zip pouch, very similar to the Felicie from Louis Vuitton, and it also has a back pocket. So the design on this, again, is just duping what Louis Vuitton did, so there's not quite anything innovative about this. And for $250, I don't know how I feel about that. I guess it's not of a bad price considering that you get 2 pieces. But my biggest beef is definitely, why aren't you telling me the weight and why aren't you telling me what the leather is? And I understand that, for a lot of these pieces that he has, different colors come in different leathers. I want to know that. The next one I'm going to cover is the Bucky Italian leather. I think this is a fantastic price at $99. It's a very simple design. It's got that rattan built to it and the stitching, so it's kind of like the inside out. Very simple. I mean, again, comes back to, why aren't you telling me what kind of leather is it? Is it buffalo leather? It just says Italian leather on here. Is it lambskin? Which I know it's not lambskin. Is it cowhide? Like, what is it? Just I don't understand this. Why don't you just tell me what kind of leather this is? Then you've got the Luna. The Luna is obviously, he changed the shape a little bit, but the Luna is a Polène numeral D dupe. What kind of leather is it? Again, there are 3 different colors and just nothing. Like, I don't know. Is this a Saffiano leather? Is this cowhide leather? Like, what is it? We don't know. The other one I want to mention is going to be the Hampton. The Hampton, it does say, like, a lot of them does say that it is lambskin, which I appreciate. The interior, cowhide leather, but why the 2 different leathers? Why can't you use the same throughout? I don't know. Is it a structural reason? I don't know. I would love to hear a little bit more about that. The Roundy Circle. This is not just something I would purchase ever. It's got buffalo skin. I think I've seen a lot of buffalo skin, not a lot, but I've seen Birkins where it's buffalo leather. It's not the most luxurious leather, but we know that buffalo skin is very hard wearing, very durable. So I'm not opposed to using buffalo skin, but the colors could be way better. And then just to rattle off the Circle bag and the Helen bag, nothing in regards to what the leather composition is. Moving on to wallets, obviously this long puffy quilted one is a Chanel dupe. He does say it's goat skin and or lambskin, depending on what color you choose. Personally, I wouldn't buy long wallets just because we live in a digital era. Like I may have 3 or 4 cards with me. I wouldn't really have much use for a long wallet, but some people do still like it. Talking a little about their Isabel card holder. Again, doesn't talk about the leather. For a guy who is an expert in leather, why would you not talk about your leather on any of majority of your products? I do like how he shows the weight of the bag and then it comes in multiple colors. That turquoise, not my jam, not my jam. Turquoise can be so beautiful, but that is just like, nope. Again, none of them have no indication of what leather it is. They talk, each of these takes you to a link of how to care for your leather. However, different leathers requires different care, right? Like lambskin or buffalo skin, like buffalo skin, again, this is just me going down a rabbit hole here and nitpicking, but buffalo skin can be kind of resilient to, like, it's not as afraid of rain compared to lambskin, right? You should teach your consumers or your customers or even just your TikTok viewers about how to take care of leather. Certain leathers can be worn one way, certain leathers like exotic, you should be, avoid rain at all costs. Like, you should teach and not just like a one pager that is kind of a blanket for all kinds of leathers, because we know different leathers and how they're processed and how they're coated or whatever, it can be treated a little bit differently. Moving on to the men's product, this is where he excels. Obviously, true to what I was saying before, he is an engineer, he is a contractor, he is that consultant when it comes to leather, but he is not going to be able to help you when it comes to a consumer's perspective, especially a female consumer's perspective when purchasing a bag or not. He doesn't use any of these bags like I do or you do to know what is a good bag versus what's not a good bag. But to going back to the men's products, like I said, this is where he excels because he is an actual user of a men's wallet or a men's card holder. And then the same thing with bags. When it comes to his leather bags in the men's section, I think it is on point, right? Men's aesthetics and having it super simple, I think he's very on point when it comes to his men's products. And maybe he crafts these pieces himself. Like on the website, going back to the women's or just any of the bags on his products on his website, they don't say where it's made, because I know based on my research, he has products that he makes in his own shop here in the United States in Dallas. However, he also works with a Spanish manufacturer or a family that produces his other products, right? Like I want to know which piece is from where. So I think when it comes to the wallets, not much to say about that. It is a quote unquote typical wallet. He probably has perfected the design based on what he thinks is good or not. And then I just keep scrolling. I thought this was pretty cool. He does offer exotics for only $99. That's an amazing price. Like if you ever wondered how a snakeskin or an ostrich skin kind of wallet would wear, I think this is a great option at $99 that would make a great gift if there's a man in your life that would appreciate exotic, or even a woman. Like you could use a men's wallet, like it's 2024, right? If I want to test out like an alligator or perhaps like a snakeskin wallet for $99, I say, let's do it. I mean, I would actually go as far as like, hey, let's buy a snakeskin and leave it out in the rain and see what happens, right? Like an experiment. You can also see, true to what he was saying in regards to big luxury, Hermes or Louis Vuitton or whatever, we know that the cost of snakes, exotics, ostrich, or snakeskin in general shouldn't be astronomical as what they're charging. And not to go down a rabbit hole, I do have other ideas talking a little bit more about snakeskin in general. I know a lot of people are very like anti-exotics, but there's a bigger issue that we might have to, I think it'll be cool to talk about at least. So stay tuned for that. Okay, as promised, this is the big surprise. I did some detective work, true to Leatherstein. I used a secret identity and purchased one of his bags so I can do an honest review on this for you with my own money. He didn't send it to me. He doesn't know who I am. He's probably never gonna see this video unless one of you send it to him. we might start a war. But I purchased the mini Evelyn dupe. Basically, it just, again, this experience is just a regular box and a plastic bag that went over it. This is the bag I purchased. So this video is long enough. I want to spend a dedicated video doing a full-blown review on this particular bag. And I will probably do a side-by-side comparison of this Evelyn dupe compared to the Hermes Evelyn TPM. So definitely stay tuned. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Drop a comment. Let me know you're new here. Love to welcome you to my channel and my brutally honest, rambly videos. And drop a comment also, what are your thoughts on Tanner Leatherstein? Do you like his material? What do you think when he say he's being honest? Do you trust him? I would love to hear your thoughts. Life is hard. I want to help you save time and money so that you can somehow adult easier and hopefully lessen retail. I'll see y'all next time.